For years, the retro handheld community has been chasing a ghost. We all want the same thing, a true successor to the PlayStation Vita. We want those perfect ergonomics, that pocketable size, and a beautiful screen. In late 2025, the market is absolutely flooded. We have Anbernic, Retroid, Powkitty. They're all releasing what essentially feels like the same device over and over again. It's a saturation of standardized designs. But then, there's this. This is the GameMT EX5. At first glance, it looks like the chosen one. It's got that PS Vita slim shape we love. It's got a 1080p display. But look closer. Look at the right side. Where is the right analog stick? It's gone. And in its place is a mechanical dial. GameMT isn't trying to compete with raw power. They're taking a high-risk gamble. They've built a device that deliberately ignores modern gaming trends to focus on something else entirely. Today, we're going deep into the EX5. We're analyzing the resolution paradox, the weird mechanical dial, and asking the big question, is this a stroke of genius or a manufacturing mistake? Let's find out. First, let's look at what's under the hood, because this sets the stage for the controversy. The EX5 is powered by the MediaTek Helio G81. Now, if you're expecting Snapdragon performance, stop right there. The G81 is a 12-nanometer chipset. In a world where flagships are using 3-nanometer and 4-nanometer technology, 12-nanometer is legally considered legacy tech. It means this chip is going to run hotter and be less power efficient than the competition. It uses 2 Cortex-A75 cores and 6 A55 cores. For retro gamers, this is distinctively okay. It's fine for single-threaded tasks like playing Game Boy Advance or PS1, but here is where things get weird. Let's talk about that dial. This is the performance dial, and it replaces the right joystick. It has 3 physical modes: performance, balanced, and power save mode. Now, the cynic in me, and the tech community at large, calls this a gimmick. Why? Because you can do all of this in the Android software settings. You don't need a physical knob for it. But purely from a fidget factor perspective, it's kind of cool. It lets you switch from low-power reading mode to high-performance gaming mode instantly without pulling down a menu bar. It's tactile, it's satisfying. But was it worth sacrificing the right joystick? That is the million-dollar question we'll answer in a minute. The second major controversy is what I call the resolution paradox. The EX5 sports a 5-inch IPS display with a full 1920 by 1080 resolution. Do the math, and that's a pixel density of 441 ppi. For comparison, the Nintendo Switch OLED is only around 210 ppi. This screen is going to be incredibly sharp. Text, shaders, and CRT filters are going to look absolutely stunning. But here is the problem. Driving a 1080p screen requires the GPU to process over 2 million pixels per frame. A 720p screen only needs about 900,000. And what GPU does this have? The Mali-G52 MP2. This is an entry-level GPU designed for 720p gaming, not 1080p. This creates a severe bottleneck. If you try to play native Android games like Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail at the screen's native resolution, it's going to be a slideshow. You will have to lower the resolution, which completely defeats the purpose of having a 1080p screen in the first place. However, for retro gaming, it's a different story. If you're playing SNES or GBA, the GPU doesn't care. But if you try to upscale PSP games to 3x or 4x to fill that beautiful 1080p panel, the Mali-G52 is going to scream for mercy. Now, let's go back to the elephant in the room, the missing right stick. GameMT says this layout is for retro enthusiasts, and honestly, if you only play NES, SNES, or PS1, you never use the right stick anyway. Removing it actually makes the face buttons, A, B, X, and Y, more accessible and comfortable. But think about what you're losing. Number 1. No modern first-person shooters. You can't aim. Number 2, no twin-stick shooters. Number 3, cloud gaming is dead on arrival. Even though GameMT advertises cloud gaming support, it is practically impossible. Xbox Game Pass and Steam Link require a standard controller layout. You can't play Halo or Call of Duty via the cloud if you can't look around. Unless you dock it to a TV via the HDMI out and connect a Bluetooth controller, this is strictly a retro machine. It's a specialist device, not a generalist device. Briefly on the battery, we're looking at a 5,000 mAh cell. With that power-hungry 1080p screen and the older 12nm chip, expect about 4 to 6 hours of retro gaming. A cool feature, though, it supports 18-watt fast charging and can work as a power bank to charge your phone, which actually makes it a decent travel companion. Software-wise, it's running Android 13 or 14. It comes with 4 GB of RAM, which is the bare minimum these days, but enough to run premium front-ends like Pegasus or Emulation Station. Just don't expect to multitask too heavily. So where does the GameMT EX5 fit in? It's currently being teased through channels like Roy Biella to test the waters. We don't have an official price yet, but based on the specs, this is a budget device. If this costs between $90 and $110, it might have a niche. It competes with the TriMuse Smart Pro, offering a much sharper screen. But if they try to charge $130 or $150, game over. At that price, you can buy a Retroid Pocket 4, which has way more power and actual joysticks. The GameMT EX5 is a contradictory device. It has a screen that is too good for its processor and a control scheme that alienates half the market. But for those of us who just want to play 16-bit RPGs on a screen that makes the pixels pop without a joystick getting in the way, this might be the weird experimental handheld we didn't know we needed. What do you think? Is the performance style a revolution or a waste of space? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the weirdest tech coming out of Shenzhen. I'll see you in the next one.